Meanwhile, in West Asia, at least 16 people, including a city mayor, were killed as Israel carried out dozens of strikes on Hezbollah targets, causing widespread destruction in several southern areas of Lebanon on Wednesday. The IDF airstrike on Nabathie municipal headquarters is the biggest attack on an official Lebanese state building since the start of the Israeli campaign. Lebanese officials denounced the strike, which also wounded more than 50 people, saying it was proof that Israel's offensive against the Hezbollah was now shifting to target the Lebanese state. In southern Lebanon, the Israeli military said it destroyed a tunnel network which was used by the Hezbollah militants in Mahabeb town. The IDF said its troops conducted targeted raids on a network of underground infrastructure and tunnel shafts that included living quarters and armories. Earlier, the UNIFIL peacekeeping force accused Israeli forces of firing at one of their positions near southern Lebanon's Kfar Kila that damaged a watchtower. Though the Israeli military insisted that UNIFIL infrastructure sites and forces are not a target and assured to examine irregular incidents thoroughly. In the latest, the Hezbollah said it destroyed another Israeli tank with a guided missile near the Lebanese border. The militant group claimed it had targeted another tank on Wednesday in a similar strike near a border village. In northern Israel, IDF's air defense systems were triggered, shooting up multiple times on Wednesday night, following which the footage showed a blast on the ground while warning sirens can be heard in the background for residents to take shelter. In southern Israel, the armed wing of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Al-Quds Brigades, said it fired rockets towards Israel's Sderot and Nir Am. The IDF said 2 projectiles coming from the northern Gaza Strip were successfully intercepted. Furthermore, the United States said that it wants Israel to take further action on humanitarian situation in Gaza.
So we have seen them taking initial steps over the past several days, but of course the proof will be in the pudding ultimately. And we want to see them take additional steps, and we want to see ultimately the results change, and the results will be more trucks coming in, more food getting in, more water getting in, and civilians having the basic needs that they require to go about their daily lives.
In another development, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke to Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and discussed Israel's operations in Lebanon and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The United Nations Security Council, the U.S. envoy, said Washington is watching to ensure that Israel's actions on the ground show that it does not have a policy of starvation in the northern Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, convened an emergency meeting on Wednesday to discuss expanding humanitarian aid to Gaza.
A quote-unquote policy of starvation in northern Gaza would be horrific and unacceptable and would have implications under international law and U.S. law. The government of Israel has said that this is not their policy, that food and other essential supplies will not be cut off, and we will be watching to see that Israel's actions on the ground match this statement.
Meanwhile, Qatar's Prime Minister said on Wednesday that there has been no conversation or engagement with any party for the last 3 to 4 weeks to secure a ceasefire in Gaza.
Unfortunately, we've seen that the efforts being hindered in the past few weeks, and basically in the last 3 to 4 weeks, there is no conversation or engagement at all. And we are just moving in the same circle with the silence from all parties, and this is unfortunate.
And our correspondent Susan Tehrani brings you more details about it.
The United Nations Security Council met to discuss the Gaza crisis amid intense military operations by Israel, as well as civilian casualties. The United States warned Israel against what it called a policy of starvation, deeming it unacceptable under international law. However, Israel's UN ambassador Danny Danon accused Hamas of hijacking aid. 38 humanitarian organizations have condemned Israel's actions as being, quote unquote, a horrifying level of atrocity. The United States, first President Biden and then the ambassador here at the UN, threatened potential restrictions on military aid if Israel fails to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Now, with international pressure mounting, Israel faces a critical juncture, balancing security concerns with humanitarian obligations. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.